media users who have criticised the use of hotels to house migrants and complained about two-tier policing have been targeted by what's been branded a Whitehall spy unit. There have been protests outside migrant hotels across the UK this summer. Viewers can see footage of people protesting in North London yesterday. Now it's turned out that civil servants have complained to companies, including TikTok, about some social media posts. I am joined now by Matthew Feeney, who's the advocacy manager at Big Brother Watch. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
These are emails, actually, that were revealed in America, I think, before their Judiciary Committee, into activities that took place in the UK government last summer. So actually, we're kind of a year finding out about events a year ago during the Southport riots. Can you just fill us in a little bit?
Yeah, so what we found out is that a government unit that was initially designed during the COVID years, that has sort of been resurrected in the years since to target all different kinds of speech, has been used to monitor speech associated with things far outside of COVID. And this is criticism of policing tactics, criticisms of immigration policy and asylum seeker housing. And it's very concerning, I think, at a time when we've had a crackdown on speech, and just goes to show that the government can refigure tools designed for one thing and point them at another.
Yeah, I think there are two elements to this. One is the fact that we have this kind of secretive unit monitoring us. But the second is that they actually took action in that they wrote and contacted these different platforms to say, what are you going to be doing about these problematic posts, which weren't breaking the law.
Yeah, it's very strange, because you would think, like, well, if these users aren't breaking the law and the company is not breaking the law, why is it any of the government's business? It's a very kind of Mafia-Style of, oh, nice company you've got there, shame if something would happen to it. You know, this kind of, we don't like some of the content, but a lot of the content that they're monitoring or talking about is actually legal content. And some people might find it distasteful, some people might find it a little worrying, but I think it's far, far, far out of the bounds of something the government should be actively concerned with. If there is criminal activity going on, then we should do the traditional policing thing, is wait for the crime to be committed, gather evidence and prosecute a crime. It's not to just put everyone with a particular view under a kind of surveillance in case they say or do something illegal.
Yeah, I mean, this government seems very particularly obsessed with coming down on this kind of rhetoric online, but not just beyond that. You had Robert Jenrick, who it was revealed that the civil service told him essentially to stop talking about things that he read about or information that he knew, because at the time when he was in government, where he was saying that people with ISIS members were coming over essentially on the boats. So do you see this kind of clampdown as backfiring?
Well, I think it's certainly unpopular, but it's important. I think the point you've raised is really important to stress, though, which is this is not just speech associated with people out on the streets doing protesting. This Big Brother Watch research has found out that this same unit was aimed at members of parliament, from the Tories to the Greens. It affected politicians. It's by no means just a handful of people on the street that are affected by this.
I know your organisation, Big Brother Watch, have pointed to that. Do you think the government are listening? Because it seems like, if anything, they're doubling down. Obviously, we have the Online Safety Act, which we're going to be talking about later. But it also seems like they're actually expanding this unit, because this is on the back of news last week where there's going to be an elite kind of online police force now as well.
Yeah, well, my colleagues and I are very worried about this. We have tried to point out again and again that this unit is unaccountable and not particularly transparent, and I think it should be scrapped. However, the government seems very keen to clamp down on online speech whenever it can. It's a very sad period in British free speech history, unfortunately. I think the very least that we can hope for is that MPs will continue to ask questions to the government about what justified this, what's going on now. But unfortunately, the government does seem, as you said, to be pressing ahead.
Do you want to save a boatload of cash this summer, wherever you have a trip planned? The one thing you're going to need is access to the internet and on the go. And you can do that easily with Saily. Hit the link in the description to get 15% off your first eSIM plan ready for your trip, so you can browse to your heart's content. Saily gets you a local SIM card you can use when traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a message or check the latest news. Now, they've got plans in over 160 countries, 8 regions, so pretty much everywhere, wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? All you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan. You can choose an amount of data and time frame that suits you best. And then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And if that wasn't enough, Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once. So when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and boom, you're back watching me on GBNews. I'll be using a Saily SIM on my next holiday because it's actually faster than some of the hotel Wi-Fis. You can get unlimited data if you want, so you can scroll away to your heart's content. And when you leave the hotel, you don't have to do that annoying thing of Wi-Fi hopping because you've got constant connectivity wherever you go. And they've got 24/7 support as well and a full refund policy if your eSIM isn't compatible. So get sorted for your next trip. Download Saily using the link in the description below. And if you use the code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us. So click the link, download Saily, and use the code NEWS at checkout.
Well, also, I don't know if it really is our MPs who are pushing the fight back against this at all. This information came out because of America taking an interest in free speech issues. Why do you think that they're so... It seems like they are very focused on what's going on in the UK.
Yeah, no, the current administration has been very critical of this country and its approach to free speech. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with a lot of American companies are very popular for posting online. And it is, one might say, a shame that the amount of transparency that we should expect at home was only achieved thanks to an American congressional committee churning out these emails. But let's be absolutely clear. This is a British government unit writing emails to American companies asking what they're going to do about legal speech. It's really bizarre and not something I think we should be particularly happy about.
No, and it's interesting that what they are terming as problematic within these emails, they're talking about asylum seekers, posting about asylum seekers, posting about immigration, posting about two-tier policing. These were a year ago seen by our government as putting you in some kind of category as suspect.
Yeah, and it's very concerning that the technology they're using to find this kind of speech was initially designed to find people who might be attracted to terrorism. Legal speech by British citizens should not be the sort of thing that the government is spending a huge amount of time with. And let's keep in mind, this unit began, its genesis was during COVID to tackle COVID dis and misinformation. So I think one of the lessons from this is if you narrowly tailor something to target a specific kind of speech, don't be at all surprised if years later a different government targets different speech.
Yeah, that's it. That's always what we've seen. And when you can start these things with the best of intention, and I believe the software they're using, exactly like you say, I think it was like 2017, it was to stop terrorist videos of beheadings, and then that same technology, of course, gets used by different governments of the day to whatever it is that they're looking to possibly shut down. I just want to read out a little excerpt from one of these emails that the government sent. It says, I'm sure you will not be surprised at the significant volumes of anti-immigrant content directed at Muslim and Jewish communities, as well as concerning narratives about the police and a two-tier system we are seeing online across the environment. It's just... That email is very concerning and what we've talked about. I just want to talk about one little part of it, though. I don't know why they're bringing the Jewish communities into it. It's like they're using that as some kind of excuse that there might be anti-Semitism there with all this other stuff. And I don't see those things being linked. I mean, of course, I'm concerned about anti-Semitism, but we're talking about two very different subjects here.
Well, sure, I'm not familiar with the exact email you've quoted.
But do you think that just for me, it felt like they're bringing in anti-Semitism but as an excuse to shut down these other subjects?
Well, we shouldn't be surprised if the government reaches to all different kinds of speech when it's trying to urge private companies to take action, whatever that might be. So it might be the case that they're targeting a particular kind of protest or a particular kind of political commentary and choosing to widen the scope of concern just to urge the company to do something, which I think is inappropriate.
I just think it's particularly cynical, that's all, bringing Jews into that where it's really got nothing to do with it. Have you seen any indication from the government that they are in any way going to change this at all? Do you think that now this information is out there, that they might somehow be kind of shamed into doing something, or do you think it's just going to be business as usual and speech gets shut down?
I've seen no indication that they're keen on rolling this back. Unfortunately, we've seen in the last week or two that when pressed by the media or members of the public about the government's approach to speech, its response seems to be to clamp down and to hold its ground.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we're seeing. In response to White House spy reports, a government spokesman said, "Free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. Platforms have a duty to uphold freedom of expression, and the Act places no curbs whatsoever on what adults can say and see on the internet unless it is something that would already be illegal offline. The government has no role in deciding what actions platforms take on legal content for adults. That is a matter for them according to their own rules." Anyway, well, thank you very much, Matthew, for joining us from Big Brother Watch.